So if you are preparing for a SOC analyst interview, an entry level security role, or you are just stepping into cyber, then stop everything because this video is your malware analysis interview complete kit. So this resource can literally boost your confidence and help you ace your next interview. So welcome back to the channel. This is InfosecPandey, and today I am dropping something absolutely game changing for every cybersecurity beginner out there. So inside this kit you are getting everything you need: theory explained, real interview question answers, practical tips that actually work, beginner friendly tools, hidden tricks used by real analysts. So, this entire video is built for you, the future entry level analyst, the upcoming SOC analyst, and the beginner who want to break into cybersecurity but don't know where to start. So, if you are ready to level up, if you are ready to stand out, and if you are serious about your cyber career, then stay with me because your malware analysis journey starts right now. All right, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is malware analysis? So, malware analysis is the process of examining malicious software to understand its functionality, origin, impact, what it does, how it works, where it came from, and what impact it can have on the system or an organization. Now, why this is important? So, because malware is not just a file, it's an attacker's weapon, and by analyzing it, we can identify threats and the exact identify threats and the exact attack vectors used, develop detection signatures, rules, and alert logic, understand the attacker's tactic, technique, and procedures, their TTPs, build effective mitigation strategies, and power up threat intelligence operations with real actionable insights. And here is the bonus tips. So always highlight that malware analysis help organizations stay proactive, not reactive. So it is not just about responding to attack, it is about staying one step ahead of them. So this mindset alone can make your interview answer stand out. All right, next. So type of malware analysis. Now let's talk about one of the most important interview topic, type of malware analysis. So there are two major approach every beginner must know: static analysis and dynamic analysis. So what is static analysis? So static analysis means examining the malware without actually executing it. So think of it like reading a dangerous book without opening it, or without opening the page fully. You observe it safely from the outside. So here is what you typically check: file properties like hashes, size, file type, string executions like a string inside the file to reveal hidden clues, uh, P header analysis. So P header analysis provide details for Windows executables, deassembly or decompilation. So this will help us understand code structure. So some common used tool include strings, file, PEID, IDA Pro, Ghidra. So static analysis is safe, quick, and great for initial triage, but it doesn't always reveal the full behavior. So that's why we use dynamic analysis. So dynamic analysis is the opposite here. We execute the malware but inside a controlled isolated sandbox environment. So this allow us watch the behavior of the file in real time. So during dynamic analysis, you observe things like network traffic that malware generate, registry changes, file system modifications, and process creation, injection, or any suspicious child process. So the popular tools for this phase include Process Monitor, Wireshark, Cuckoo Sandbox, and ANY.RUN. So dynamic analysis give you the real truth, what the malware actually does once it run. So together, malware analysis like dynamic analysis and static analysis give a complete picture, and mentioning both in your interview instantly make you look like a confident, prepared analyst. All right, so next one we have static versus dynamic analysis. So right now let's break down a super important interview topic: static analysis versus dynamic analysis. So their pros, cons, and when to use each. So the static analysis means examining the malware file without running it. So you are basically inspecting the file safely from the outside. And what are the pros? So it's safe, you are not executing anything dangerous. Give you a quick fast initial assessment. It is great for identifying packed or suspiciously compressed malware, and it require no special infrastructure, just your tools. And what are the cons? So limited insight into real behavior. Obfuscation can hide important content, and its complex samples can take a lot time to analyze and often require reverse engineering skill which beginners may not have. And dynamic analysis, so dynamic analysis means you actually run the malware but inside a secure sandbox to observe real behavior. And what are the pros? So pros of the dynamic analysis are, so you see the malware's actual behavior, easily bypasses obfuscation because the malware has to reveal everything, and help understand network communication, callbacks, command and control traffic. So it is great for quickly extracting IOCs like domain, file path, registry keys, and all. And what are the cons? So you need a sandbox. You can't run it on your machine. Some malware can detect virtual machines and hide its behavior, and also time based triggers may not activate during sort analysis window. So there is always a risk if environment is not fully isolated. So here is a quick interview tip. If asked which one is better, never pick just one. Tell them a good analyst uses static analysis for safe initial triage and dynamic analysis for real behavioral insight. Both together give the complete picture. So that answer instantly shows maturity and understanding. All right, so next one we have essential malware analysis tool. So now let's look at one of the most important part of malware analysis, the tools. So if you are a beginner preparing for interview, listen closely because knowing these tools instantly boost your confidence and shows the interviewer you are serious. So the number one, IDA Pro and Ghidra. So these are very powerful de-assemblers used for reverse engineering, and it is perfect for deep static analysis, understanding code structure, and analyzing the complex malware behavior. Then next we got the X64 debug and Win debug. So these are debuggers that let you run malware step by step. You can pause execution, inspect instructions, and see exactly how the malware behaves internally. Then the next one we have process monitor. So your real-time monitoring powerhouse, it shows file changes, system changes, registry modification, process activity, everything the malware touches. Then also we have Wireshark. So Wireshark is a tool to inspect network traffic. So it is perfect for detecting command and control communication, suspicious IPs, DNS request, and exfiltration attempt. Next we have PEID, so detect it easy. So these tools help detect packers, compilers, and obfuscations, and it is super useful when malware is compressed to hide its real code. So Cuckoo Sandbox, an automated sandbox that runs the malware for you and captures behavior, file drops, network traffic, and IOCs. So it is great for quick dynamic analysis. So next we have YARA rule. So think of YARA as DNA scanner of malware. So it help identify malware family using pattern and rules. So extremely useful for threat hunting and detection. Then next we got the virus total, the very popular one. So it's a multi-scanner platform that check file URLs against dozen of antivirus engine. So it is perfect for quick triage and identifying known suspicious behavior or malicious indicators. So learning even half of these tools will put you ahead of most entry level candidates. So mentioning them in interview shows you understand both static and dynamic analysis workflow. All right, so we have included some question answer here. So part one, what is the file has and why it is important in malware analysis. So a file has like MD5 SAR1 SAR256 is basically a unique fingerprint of a file. No two different file will have the same hash, so which makes it extremely valuable for identifying the known malware samples, tracking malware variants across incidents, sharing IOCs with other analysts, and verifying it if a file has been modified or tampered with. So if you want to impress the interviewer, drop a quick example like this. You can generate the SAR hash using cert util has file malware.exe SAR256. Simple, accurate, and shows hands-on knowledge. What is packing and how do you detect it? So packing is when malware authors compress or encrypt their tool or code to hide it from antivirus engine and static scanners. So it is one of the most common evasion technique. So you can detect packing by looking for high entropy values closest to 8800, small or weird looking import tables, unusual section names like .upx, .aspx, etc. And of course, mention the tool PEID, Detect It Easy, and PE Studio. So these are excellent for packer detections. So this kind of clarity shows interviewers you understand not just the definitions but the practical reasoning behind them. All right, part two. So now let's continue with part two. The most commonly asked questions in the interview: what are the indicator of compromise? So IOCs are essentially forensic clues that tell you something suspicious or malicious has happened in the system or network. So think of them as digital breadcrumbs left behind an attacker. So they come in several type: file based IOCs, so hashes, file name, suspicious file paths, and network based IOCs, IP addresses, domain, malicious URL, registry based registry keys, modified registry keys, values, etc. And then behavioral IOCs like strange process names, mutex name, unusual execution pattern. So interview tips, like always mention that IOC help with detection, correlation, and threat hunting. And the question number four, explain the difference between virus and worm. So this is a classic question, and interviewers accept a simple, clear answer. So, a virus need a host file to attach itself to. It is spread only when a user perform an action, like opening the infected file. But the worm, on the other hand, is much more aggressive. It self-replicates, is spread automatically, and doesn't require any user interactions. For example, WannaCry or Conflicker, so which is spread rapidly across network without anyone clicking anything. So remember, virus equal to need a host plus user action, and worm is self-spreading plus network propagation. So these explanation shows interviewers you understand malware behavior at a fundamental level, exactly what they look for in beginners. What is MITRE ATT&CK framework? So the MITRE ATT&CK framework is a globally accessible knowledge base that documents real world advisory tactic and technique. So it's built on real attack data, not theory, which makes it incredibly valuable. So it helps analysts understand how attackers behave, map malware capabilities to TTPs, strength, detection logic, signatures, and alerts, and also improve the incident response and detection process. So what to stand out in the interview? So you can mention some example like T1055, T1071. So just dropping specific technical ID shows you actually use the framework, not just memorize the definition. Then how would you analyze a suspicious PowerShell script? So this is very practical question. Interviewers want to know if you can handle real life scenarios. So your steps would be: first, check the obfuscation base 64 character strings encoder suspicious variable name, then decode the encoded command. For example, this one, the system text encoding, and the other base string. And then look for the download cradles, commands that pull payload from the internet, and then check for the execution behavior like invoke expressions, start process, IEX. Also analyze network indicators, URL, IPs, domains. So you can use tools like PowerShell ISE, CyberSafe, and PST code. So when you explain these steps clearly, you instantly sound like someone who has handled real world scripts. So these kind of practical answer shows confidence, clarity, and hands on understanding exactly what interviewers love to see. Then malware analysis workflow. So now let's talk about something that interviewers absolutely love to ask, your malware analysis workflow. So they want to see if you can follow a structured step by step process. So here is the perfect way to explain it. Step number 1, preparation. So before touching anything, set up an isolated virtual machine, take a snapshot so you can roll back safely. So this shows you understand safe handling. Then step number 2, initial triage. So start with quick checks, calculate hazards, check virus total, scan the file type analysis, identify the metadata. So this give you immediate context about whether the file is known, suspicious, or unique. Then go for the static analysis. So next, analyze the file without running it. Check the string, examine p headers, identify packers or obfuscation. So this tells you what the malware might do. Then go for the dynamic analysis. So you run the malware in a sandbox to observe behavior, file system modification, registry changes, process, network activity. So this reveals what a malware actually does in real time. Then you can go for the code analysis. So if needed, dig deeper using deassemblers or debuggers. So analyzing suspicious or critical functions, API calls, or logic flow. Then step number 6, network analysis. So capture network traffic with tools like Wireshark, TCP dump, look for command and control communication, DNS queries, IP address or data exfiltration attempts. Then you can document it. So document IOCs, TTPs, behaviors, and finding clearly. So this is essential for detection rule, SOC alert, and future incidents. Then reporting part. So create a analysis report, clear, concise malware analysis report, including remediations, severity, and step for mitigation. So, a quick interview tip here, interviewers love candidates who can explain a clear step by step methodology. Practice saying the flow out loud so it make you look structured, confident, and ready for the real world. Then practical tips and tricks. So before we wrap up, let me give you some practical tips and tricks. So these are simple, powerful habits that make a huge difference in both real investigation and interview. So safety first. So your number one priority is always safe analysis. So always use a isolated VM or virtual box, disable network adapters, or use host only networking. Take a snapshot before starting your analysis, and of course, never analyze malware on your main personal system. Just saying this in an interview shows maturity and responsibility. And quick wins. So these are the quick technique that save time and often reveal instant insights. So use the string command. So this is frequently exposes URL, IPs, and functions names. And check the virus total for community insight. Check virus total for community tag, YARA matches, and behavior report. And look for the suspicious import like virtual alloc, create remote thread. So these often indicate injection or process manipulation. Then monitor temporary directories like temp, app data for dropped or created files. So these little checks can give you IOCs fast. And what are the focus areas? So when analyzing malware, always pay attention to these three big areas: the persistent mechanism, so registry, run keys, schedule task, startup folders, then command and communication patterns, So like DNS queries, URLs, encryption patterns, anti-analysis technique like VM detection, debugger checks, timing delays. So when you mention these in interview, you instantly sound like someone who understands real world malware behavior. So these practical tips not only make your workflow faster, they make you look like a smart, prepared, job ready analyst. Now let's look at something that separates basic malware from advanced malware: evasion techniques. So these are method attacker use to hide from analyst, sandbox, and security tools. So interviewers love asking about this because it shows whether you are understanding the real world challenges or not. So anti VM detection. So many malware samples first check if they are running inside a virtual machine. If they detect a VM, they simply do nothing, tricking analyst. And malware often look for the VMware tool process, registry keys, and the MAC address pattern associated with virtualization vendor. So the countermeasure is use technique like nested VM, hardened environment, or modify VM artifact so the malware cannot detect them easily. Anti-debugging technique, so malware can also detect it if you are trying to debug it. So common tricks include calling is debugger present to check if a debugger is attached, and the timing checks. So timing checks using instructions like rdts instructions to detect breakpoints, and the exception based detections that behave differently when debugged. So what are the countermeasure? So patch or bypass these checks, or use tools and plugins like Scylla hide to hide your debugger. And then obfuscation. So obfuscation make the malware harder to read, analyze, or reverse engineer. So the typical method include string encryption, that is hiding URL, command, and file path, and the control flow fluttering, so that make the code logic confusing, and the code virtualization, that translating code into custom virtual instruction set. So these techniques don't change what malware does, they just make your job harder. So understanding evasion technique instantly shows interviewers that you are not just reading definitions, you are thinking like a real analyst who knows how attackers try to hide. All right, now let's finish strong with a quick essential command cheat sheet for Windows and Linux. So these are the commands malware analysts use every single day. So keep this list handy. It will save you tons of time in lab and interviews. So these are the command for Windows: calculate file has, extract strings, list running process, monitor registry changes, network connections. And for Linux, file type identifications, calculate has, extract string, check ELF headers, etc. So these are your go-to commands for quick static analysis, and master them and you will find at home in any malware lab, Windows or Linux. All right, so now let's talk about something every malware analyst should know: YARA rules. So if you are new to YARA, think of it as sniper rifle of malware detection. So it lets you match pattern inside file so you can detect malware families, variants, or suspicious behavior. So, what is YARA? So, YARA is a pattern matching tool used to classify and detect malware, and security analysts use it in malware lab, EDR tool, sandbox, threat hunting, incident response. So, if you ever hear someone say just write a YARA rule for it, this is what they mean. So, basic YARA structure: example rule that detects suspicious PowerShell behavior. So, uh, you can see the structure like meta, strings, and condition. So these are the basic structure, and in the string you can see what it is going to check, and in condition, if two of these command matches, it is going to fire an alert or going to inform you. So how this rule works: so meta section is for documentation, who, what, when. So description detects suspicious PowerShell, author is your name, and date is date. And string section, that pattern you want to match, so this is the pattern. And condition means the logic. So If any two strings from PowerShell list appear, this rule is going to trigger, as I mentioned, and this is common technique to avoid false positive. So interview tips. So interviewers love asking YARA questions. So be ready to explain what each section does, how condition works, and what the to of command means here. And maybe even write a simple YARA rule to spot. So you can craft or analyze YARA rule confidently. So it shows strong practical malware analysis skill. Next, we have when you analyze a suspicious file, your first job is to spot the red flags, the indicators that something is not normal. So these signs can appear both the P file structure and in the behavior of the program once it runs. So let's break it down. So P file indicators. So these red flags show up before the malwares even run just by inspecting the file itself. Number one, the mismatched file extension and type. For example, a PDF file that is actually an executable. High priority, more than 7.5, equal to encryption and packing. So this often indicate packing, compression, or encryption. Suspicious API imports like virtual alloc, write process memory. So these are classic process injection indicators. Unusual or fake section names, sections like .upx, .aspac, .text1, or completely random names. Missing or invalid digital signatures. So legit software usually sign their executables with digital signatures and recent compilation date on old software. So for example, a file pretending to be from 2012 but compiled last week. Behavioral indicators. So when you execute a file in a sandbox, so once you run the file in a controlled environment, look for these suspicious activities. Create file in system directories such as system32, temp, or app data, then modified browser settings or proxy configuration. So it is common in adware or spyware cases. Then attempt to connect a suspicious IP domain. So this is C2 communication is one of the strongest malware indicator. Then inject into legitimate process. For example, injecting into explorer.exe or sbchost.exe, and then disable security antivirus. So malware often tries to kill security tools like Defender or modify its setting. Creates persistent mechanism or auto run entries. So startup entries, schedule task, registry run keys, WMI persistence, etc. Encrypt user files. So that's a major sign of ransomware activity. All right. So the next one we have malware analysis reporting structure. So now let's talk about something absolutely essential for malware analyst, how to write a professional malware analysis report. Interviewers love it because it shows you can communicate your findings clearly, not just analyze the malware. So number one, executive summary. So this is the high level overview written for managers and non-technical stakeholders. So keep it simple: what happened, how severe it is, what is the impact. This section should be short, clear, and business friendly. Number two, sample information. So list the basic detail of the malware sample. This help with tracking documentation and correlation. So include the detail like MD5 has, 256 has, file size and file type, compilation timestamp, any packer or obfuscation detected. So think of this section as the digital fingerprint of the malware. Then technical analysis. So this is the core of the report where you real analysis goes on. So break it into static analysis findings, strings, imports, entropy, p section, dynamic behavior, file system changes, network communication, process created, registry modified, command and control server, DNS request, etc. So this is where you show exactly what the malware does. Then indicator of compromise, the IOCs. So these are the forensic breadcrumbs you extract during the analysis. So you can include IP address, domain, file path, registry, process name, has. So these IOCs help SOC team build detection and hunt across the environment. Then MITRE mapping. So map all the observed behavior to MITRE attack techniques. So this make your report standardized and intelligence friendly. Then recommendation. So finally provide all the recommendation including detection rule, YARA, Sigma, SPL, KQL, containment and eradication steps, mitigation strategies, patch or configure recommendations. This section turns your analysis into real security value. All right, now you are serious about becoming a malware analyst or crushing your cybersecurity interview, you need the right learning resource. So here are the best free platforms, practice sites and book to help you level up from beginner to pro. So free learning platform include malware traffic analysis. So it's a gold mine of real PCAP file malware sample and hands-on exercise. So it is perfect for practicing network-based malware investigation. And ANY.RUN, so an interactive malware sandbox for free tier. So you can upload samples, watch behavior live, and learn dynamic analysis in real time. Virus Total, so it's a great for community insight, multi-engine scanning, and behavior reports. Perfect for triaging and quick initial analysis. Hybrid analysis, so another excellent automated malware analysis platform, detailed report, behavior log, and IOC extraction. Then practice site. So if you want to sharpen your skill with real challenges, so start here. Cyber Defender. So it's a blue team lab, incident response challenges, and malware hunts. Hack the box. So I personally like the hack the box. So some machines and labs especially focus on malware and reverse engineering. Flare on challenge. So the legendary annual reverse engineering CTF by FireEye. So it is great for advanced learners and brilliant addition to your resume. And books and guides. So books are still one of the best way to understand malware deeply. Practical malware analysis, Michael Sikorski. So the ultimate beginners to immediate manual, hands-on lab tools and real malware samples. Then malware analyst cookbook by Michael Lai. So it is packed recipe, script, and analysis technique for real world malwares and the art of memory forensics for those who want to dive into advanced malware, RAM forensics, and incident response at a deep level. So this part is for those who want the job. So if you are preparing for a SOC or entry level malware analyst interview, follow this strategy. Before the interview, build muscles memory, practice beats, theory every time. Do these things before you ever face an interviewer. So set up your own malware lab, your virtual box or VMware, Remanux or Linux tool, a window VM for Windows samples. Take a snapshot, isolate the network, and get comfortable resetting the environment. Then analyze 5 to 10 sample from Malware Bazaar or Virus Total. Don't just run them, document what you did and why. Write SWOT analysis report for each sample, one paragraph, executive summary, technical finding, IOCs, recommended mitigations. Study common malware families and behaviors like Emotet, Trickbot, Cobalt Strike, and know how they propagate, persist, and communicate. So this prep shows you are not just textbook smart, you have done the hands-on work. During the interview, explain your thought process step by step. Start with triaging, then static checks, then dynamic test, then deeper code analysis if needed. Ask clarifying questions about the scenario, environment, scope, and constraints that shows judgment. Then mention safety precautions. So isolate VM, snapshot, host only networking. It proves you value secure handling. Then reference real tool you have used. So virus total, ANY.RUN, ProcMon, Wireshark, Ghidra, specifics, boot, credibility, and tell them what you have do if you get stuck. Escalate to L2, consult threat intels, pivot to network forensics, or isolate the machine. Problem solving matter more than perfection. and the common practical exercises you should do. So these are the real lab task interviewers will test you on. Analyze suspicious process memory dumps, so find injected code, suspicious thread, or stolen credential. Then decode obfuscated PowerShell and WB script, so base 64 character substitution, string concatenation tricks, and identifying command and control in PCAP. So look for beaconing, suspicious DNS, or uncommon HTTP post. Then write a simple YARA rule to detect a family or behavior. So pattern logic and false positive avoidance. So practice these exercise under time pressure. Many interviews give you 30 to 60 minutes. And the final interview tip, close your answers with impact. So after explaining your steps, recommend one concrete action they can take right now, like blocking IP, add yara rule, isolate host. So it turns analysis into action, exactly what hiring manager want. All right, so next one we have key takeaways. So before we wrap up, let's lock the most important takeaways you should remember for your interview and malware analysis journey. So these points will help you stand out from the competition. So remember these points: safety first. So always work inside an isolated environment, snapshot, host only networking, and dedicated VMs. One mistake outside a sandbox can cost you big. Then methodology matters. So don't jump randomly into analysis. Follow the structured approach: triage, static, dynamic, behavior, IOCs, report. Interviewers love clear methodology. Then documentation is key. So record everything: hashes, behavior, screenshot, IOCs, API calls. Good documentation equal to good analyst. And IOCs are gold. So IP, domain, file path, registry key. These indicator help SOC team detect, hunt, and stop future attack. Treat them like teaser, and context is important. So malware never work alone. Understand how it fits into a bigger campaign, kill chain, and TTPs. Context elevate your analysis. So three things to emphasize. Number one, you know how to stay safe, so that you understand VM isolation, network restrictions, and safe handling, and safety is non-negotiable. And number two, understand both static and dynamic analysis. So and more importantly, you know when to see each one: static for structure, dynamic for behavior, and both together equal to full picture. You can communicate clearly. So whether it is a SOC analyst or a manager, you can explain complex malware behavior in simple, understandable language. This is a huge competitive advantage. Log these points into preparation, repeat them confidently in your interview, and you will make a strong, lasting impression. You are learning the skills, now it's time to own them. Now, let's go over some of the most common malware families that every entry level analyst should know. So, these show up in interview all the time, and knowing them proves you understand real world threats. So the first one is emotet. So it's a banking, Trojan, and loader. And emotet usually spread through phishing email with malicious attachment. And its main job is to get inside the system and then drop additional payload like TrickBot or even Ryuk ransomware. So it's a modular, fast spreading, and consistently evolving. Number two, TrickBot. So it is also a banking Trojan, and TrickBot is specialized in credential theft, browsing password, banking detail, network credentials, and once inside, it often paves the way for ransomware attack, especially Ruik or Conti ransomware. So it is one of the most dangerous post-infection threat. Then we got the Cobalt Strike. So it's a post exploitation framework, originally a legitimate red team tool, but threats actor use it to move laterally, escalate privilege, and maintain their access. So if you see a suspicious beacon, it's a big trouble. Then WannaCry, so it's a ransomware worm. So this one made history. So it used the eternal blue exploit MS17 10, and it is spread automatically across networks. So in 2017, it hit hundreds of thousands of systems worldwide, a perfect example of ransomware plus worm capabilities. Then next one is Mimikatz. So it's a type of credential dumper. Mimikatz is one of the most powerful credential theft tool ever made. So it can extract plain text passwords, hashes, and Kerberos tickets straight from memory. So if an attacker runs Mimikatz, they are one step away from full domain compromise. Then Agent Tesla. So it's a kind of info stealer or keylogger. So a lightweight but dangerous info stealer. So it captures keystroke, steal browser, email credentials, and even grab clipboard data. So it is often delivered through phishing campaign. So interview tips. So be familiar with at least 3 to 5 major malware families. It shows interviewers that you stay updated, understand real threat, and can connect behavior with real world actors. All right, so next one we have scenario based interview questions. So now let's move into one of the most important part of any cybersecurity interview, the scenario based questions. So these show the interviewer how you think, how you investigate, and how you handle real incidents. So let's break down 2 common scenarios you are almost guaranteed to see. Scenario number one, you receive a suspicious doc m file. Walk me through your analysis. So here is how you answer this with confidence and structure. So start with safe triage. First, I would calculate the file has and check it against threat intel source like virus total to see if it is known. Then number two, extract and review macros. So next I would OLI BBA or OLI tools to extract the VBA microcode. I would look specifically for specific functions like auto open, cell, W script. So these often indicate automatic execution or command launching. Then number three, check for obfuscation and obfuscations technique like char, string reverse, base 64 strings, hex payload, etc. Then number four, identify download or execution activities. So I would search the URL, IP, or a script that downloaded further payloads. And then the next one is run in Sandbox to analyze the behavior. Then I would run it in a safe Sandbox environment to observe real behavior, file drop, network call, or process spawned. Then the final one is document IOCs and create rule. So finally, I would extract IOCs and create detection rules such as YARA rule or SIEM alerts based on the observed behavior. So by walking them through this flow, you show you are methodical, safe, and practical. The next scenario, a user reports their company is slow and connecting to a strange IP address. How do you investigate? So here is a mindset interview want to see the structured investigation. So number one, check running process. So I would begin with task manager or process explorer to identify abnormal process, high CPU uses, or suspicious child processes. Then number two, review network connections. So I would use netstate.ano or TCP view to see which processes are talking to external IP addresses. Then number three, examine auto run locations using auto runs. So I would run auto run to review registry run keys, schedule task, startup folder, and any malicious persistence entries. Then inspect uh, temporary directories. So I would look inside the temp directories, app data directories, and any other similar folder for newly created or suspicious file. Then capture network. So if needed, I would run a packet capture to analyze possible command and control activity, unusual DNS query, or beaconing behavior. Collect and analyze log, event log. So check for login anomalies, service failure, PowerShell execution events, or sign of lateral movement. So I would also isolate questionable binaries and send them to Sandbox for deeper analysis. So delivering your answers in this structured and confident step-by-step manner is exactly how you impress interviewers. So it shows that you think like an analyst, not just memorized definitions. All right, so next we have some advanced topic. So number one, memory forensics. So memory forensics help uncover malware that hide in RAM or uses injection technique. Volatility framework used to analyze memory dumps, identify suspicious process, injected code, and network connection, process hollowing detection. So it identifies cases where the legitimate process like sbc host.exe has malicious code inside it, then malware extraction from memory, so often possible even when malware detect itself from disk. And why it is important, so attacker increasingly rely on memory only technique, and memory forensic is one of the few ways to catch them. Then next one we have code injection technique, so like dll injection. So it is like malware forces a process to load a malicious dll. It is very common in keyloggers, rats, and info stealer. Number two, the process hollowing. So it's a legitimate process to start in suspended mode. Its memory is replaced with malicious code, then executed. So it is common in ransomware, loader, and cobalt strike stagers. Then reflective loading or DLL loading. So it allows DLL to be loaded directly from memory without touching disk, and it is highly stealthy, used by red teams and advanced malware. Fileless malware. So fileless malware avoids writing traditional file to disk, and the characteristics are uh, live primarily in memory, uses legitimate tool like PowerShell, WMI, MSHTA, run DLL32, and it leaves minimum forensic artifacts, and it is highly relies on leaving of the land binaries, the lol bins, and how it detected. So using the behavioral monitoring, using EDR, script block logging, sysmon event analysis, memory forensics, we can identify it. And interview tips, so demonstrate even basic knowledge of these advanced concepts shows you understand real world attacker technique, you are willing to go beyond beginner level analysis, you have long term potential for advanced malware analysis or threat hunting role. Next we have do and don'ts. Here are the do's. So always work in isolated virtual machines like VirtualBox, VMware plus a snapshot. Then document every step of your analysis for reproducibility, cross verify findings using multiple tools like static, dynamic, OSINT, and then share IOCs responsibly with your team or the community. Keep learning through lab challenges and new malware trends. Use version control, gate for YARA rules, script and workflows. Validate malware samples using hashes signatures before touching them, and follow responsible disclosure when reporting vulnerabilities or threat. And what are the don'ts? So never analyze malware on a production machine or host, and don't share live sample without proper packaging or warning. Don't always trust on the AV detections blindly. Treat them as initial hint, and don't skip safety checks like snapshot creation or network isolation. And also don't cross legal, ethical boundaries while testing malware behavior. And never ever run unknown code without preparing or sandbox control. Don't forget to disable the isolated network when required, and don't rely solely on automated tools. Go for manual analysis, it is very critical. All right, so this is very important part if you are starting in a malware analysis or SOC analysis. Setting up your malware lab, and recommended lab setups are so number one, hypervisor. So it is recommended lab setup for safe analysis. So you can go with VMware workstation. So it is very much preferred, and it is better driver support. Then VirtualBox, so this is also good free alternative. Then Analysis VM, so Windows 10 11 fully patched. Install tool, create a clean snapshot, disable window defender offline mode only, and no internet access unless using a controlled fake network. Then monitoring VM, so Remanex Linux based malware analysis distro or Flyer VM Windows based malware analysis toolkit. So use this VM for static analysis, network simulation, reverse engineering, extracting indicators. And then the last one is network configuration. So host only network is safe and it is the safest option. NAT plus inet sim proves a fake internet or malware to communicate with. Block external real internet to avoid infection spread. And here are some essential tool to install. So number one, for analysis and monitoring, you can use the complete suite provided by sysinternal, which contains process monitor, process explorer, which is good for detailed process visibility, auto runs, so check persistence mechanism, TCP view monitors live network connections, and then reverse engineering tool like IDA free. So this is industry standard deassembler. Then Ghidra, so Ghidra is very powerful open source reverse engineering suite. X64 debug, so this is a debugger for Windows executable. And then DNSpy.net or DNSpy-EX analyze and debug.net malware. Then we got the network analysis tools, so Wireshark, which capture full packets and protocol analysis. Fiddler is good for HTTP, HTTPS traffic inspection. Burp Suite is a web traffic manipulation command and control inspection tool. And here are some utilities like PE Studio. So it is good for PE file static analysis. Detect it easy, the die. So die one is good for Packer compiler detection. And then hex editor for low level binary inspection. All right, so final interview tips. So, what interviewers are really looking for? So, they are looking for problem solving skills. So, they want to see how you think, not just what you know. So, explain your approach logically and walk them through your reasoning. Then security mindset, so that you understand the threat landscape, risk and impacts, safe handling of malicious file, operational security principles. Then practical experience, so hands-on experience, even a small project counts. Malware lab setup, reports you written, sample you analyzed, YARA rule or script you created. Then clear communication, so can you explain a complex analysis in simple term? So this is crucial for SOC team, IR team, and stakeholders. Curiosity and passion. So interviewers prefer someone who shows genuine interest, willingness to break things apart, desire to understand how malware works, commitment to continuous learning. And here are some smart questions to ask your interviewer. So these shows maturity, curiosity, and real world understanding. So question number one, what malware analysis tool does your team use? So this shows you want to understand their tech stack and workflows. Number two, how does malware analysis integrate with incident response? So demonstrate awareness of cross team collaboration. And number three, what are the most common threats you are seeing? So this shows you are thinking about real world applicability. And number four, how do you share threat intelligence internally and externally? So this highlights awareness of intelligence, life cycle, and communication. And number five, what opportunities exist for training and skill development? So, so this shows growth mindset and long-term commitment. All right, next one. So good luck, you have got this. And remember, every expert was once a beginner. Your consistency, curiosity, and discipline will take you further than you imagine. So keep building, keep breaking, keep learning, keep improving. So you are already ahead because you are putting in the work. And key resources to bookmark for malware analysis and sandboxing. So number one, virus total. Number two, malware bazaar. So this is for your samples collection for analysis. ANY.RUN. Next, MITRE attack. So it's a framework for detection. YARA rule repository, and then practice lab like malware traffic analysis, cyber defender. So practice, study, and succeed. Stay curious, stay safe. And if you like the video, please hit like and subscribe. Your interview success is closer than you think. Let's go.